Listen, good morning. Good morning, one and all. Good morning to all you students. Welcome to today's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today is Monday, the 7th day of July, 2025. Welcome to you, one and all. Hope you had a very good weekend. And at the same time, let me say happy CARICOM Day to all those in the CARICOM single market. CARICOM, 12 countries, I think it is, in the Caribbean. They have this single market. So today, the first Monday in July, is observed in some countries. Let me get that straight. Not all the CARICOM countries observe this day as a public holiday. But in Guyana, it is a public holiday in respect of CARICOM Day. You know, back in the 70s, I think it was, or in the 80s, 70s, late 70s, there's a singer who sang, the people say, carry come and carry gone, right? Because people will argue and debate. They don't know what is the purpose of CARICOM. So today is CARICOM Day. I don't know if there's any special way it is celebrated. Perhaps just relax, get an extra day from work, less stress, and to be with your family. Maybe some people will go picnicking and all of that. But happy CARICOM Day to all. Today, the 7th day of July 2025, another great day that the Lord has made. We must rejoice and be glad in it. And let's give praise and thanks to be in the land of the living, because many persons have not been this fortunate. So we shouldn't take it for granted. We have to give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. So here we are. Normally what I've said, today is the first working day of the week. But today being a public holiday, it is not the first working day. We have an extended weekend. Those in America had Friday as a holiday in respect of Independence Day. Those in Guyana have today, Monday, CARICOM Day. So in the US and Guyana, that is where most of the students come from. If you don't live in the States, at least many of you have Guyanese heritage. So yeah, I am conscious of the fact too that we have other people with other nationalities and other heritage and so on. But predominantly, Guyanese, either from Guyana or in the diaspora. So welcome to this first program for the new week. The first program. Hope you had a very relaxing weekend. Hope you're looking forward to a productive week. As usual, we have lots and lots of stuff to unravel. You know, we keep telling you, and we will keep repeating this every program. We into this silly season. Because, the proclamation was read last week by the president, which makes September the 1st the day for regional and national elections. Parliament has finally and belatedly been dissolved. So, the gloves are off now. All other craziness you're going to hear in the place. Last night, the coalition launched their campaign, and we're going to talk about it a little as we go on. So, we make the point, we are not political here. We're not political, but when we see these incompetence, when we see irregularities, when we see corruption, wherever it exists, we are going to point it out. And there are lots to point out. My colleague is already here. By now, you don't miss it. And then we come in and we check to make sure everything is okay. And yeah, when we checked, everything is okay. We open the gates at 7 this morning, and as is customary now, many students were lined up to get into the schoolyard. Many students. So share the live and let them know that we're on, because a lot of people, I believe, say, well, today's holiday, and these teachers are not going to come to teach us. But we tell you, nothing stopping us from bringing you information. Because we discover now, if we miss a day, things pile up. And some things get stale. We don't want that. So we come and we bring the live, credible information, the credible and valid information to you. We don't want it to get stale. Credible, value information. That is why you have noticed too that for the last 2 months, we have added Friday afternoon to the schedule. And the attendances at all these sessions have been great. Very encouraging. The only little beef I get with y'all don't give me thumbs up. Well, we get almost 600 and get 5 thumbs up. Y'all really don't like to give us show the little appreciation. But nevertheless, we're going to come and we're going to bring you the information. We're going to do our thing. We wish that you will do yours, but nevertheless, we are going to come. We're going to bring you the credible, valuable information. And as I said, on this silly season, less than 2 months to general elections, we get a lot of stupidness we're going to come and tell you. They're going to come to tell you a lot of nonsense, come to speaking out, and we are going to clarify, we are going to dissect all of these wild statements that they are going to make. A lot of lies are going to be told. A lot of lies. And we're going to come, we're going to tell you what it is. And you know, as we have said, when we come, we bring facts to you. We give you reference. So you don't have to necessarily believe what we're telling you. We tell you where to go and where to find the information. And you being sensible, educated, reasonable people, you are going to make your decision as to who is lying, who is gaslighting, and all of that. So here we are for this day, and we're going to run the roll call, and then we're going to do the announcements, and we're going to get on with it, as my colleague would say. Program scheduled at 7 sharp. And as I've said, several persons came in at that time, but the first person listed is the man from West Dem, Ulrich, listed as number 1, followed by Peter, then Aubrey, Ricky, Ezzy, Marcia, Terrence, Simo from Texas, Carl, Derek, Charlene, the 2 Guyanese. Then we had Kenneth, and Kenneth is from Maryland, Morton, Rawl, 11752. They all came at 7. And shortly thereafter, we had a 701 Danny, Brian, Carol, Puran, Earl, Courtney, Harold, Clifton. I did comment, is the first time he's in the schoolyard so early. Clifton, Pastor Smith is here. Then we have Wayne, Sean from upstate, Brennan, Carlton, my squad mate, David. Then it was Aubrey from Canada, Dexter, Paulette, Gibbo, Bonita, Rosalind, Father Masha, Orin from the UK. Then it was Wayne came back, Marlon, and they all came at 7:01. And then the floodgates were open more or less. Then we have Ivor, Bonita, Pauline, Moses, Sydney, Vashti. There's 3 from Georgia. Then it was Paulette, Wayne from the UK, Magnell, Claire, Lorraine, Evelyn, Vibert, Smitty is here with us, Barbara, the one and only BX, Goodman, 9407, my squad mate, Junior, Terrence, TK, Terrence Young from Canada, 9795, Anthony Bradshaw, Peter's all in the East Bank. Tamia said that it reminds me that he served me some ice. Yes, I remember that very well. Benji from Myconi. Then it was the other Vibert, Clifton from Paris. Then another Vibert is here as well. Then we have Sagi, Marva, Patricia, Boo, Maureen, Colin. Then it was Dorrit, Marvin, Roxanne, Derek, Hope, Anka, Annette, the Angel, Lucius, David, Clyde, Malcolm, Mary, Gavin, Anthony, Aileen, Lynette, Aileen and the cricketers, Blues. Lynette from the UK, Sandra, then it was Marcus, Brenda, Carrie Ann, Donna, Forbes, JK is here, Felicia, Clarence, then it was Charles, George, Diane, Grantley, Diane, the next Diane came in, Pamela, Eastbank, Emerson, Marcus, Derek, Gordon, 6659. I think Gordon is one of the oldest policemen on the in the classroom, 6659. Then we have Hazel, Vibert, Patrick, Abira, Ulrich, Alex, KP, Monica. Then we had the next Vibert, Ashley, Mark, Farina, Randolph, Selwyn, John from Tennessee, Valerie, Danielle. Danielle is a man from Linden, Compton, Delverne, Hazel, Alwyn, Winslow, Francis Keith from Melanie is here with us. Mark, Sean, Amanda, Euclid, Denise from Florida, Umi is here, Dennis, Tessa, George, Sheena, Lincoln, Eva is here, Carl from Arizona, Cranston, Queenie, Clive from the UK, Jacko from Georgia. Then the secretary is here, Fergus Jr., TK from California is with us, Royston, Deborah, Carlisle, Colin, Lester, Rayburn, John, and the next John is here too, Carville, Henrik, Elijah is here, Michael, Lennox, then it was Patricia, Lyndon, Princess Earl is here, Cheryl, Christy Jack, Ronald, then it was Cecile, followed by Margot, Sandrine, Phil, Cedric, Danny is here, 8219, Kerry from Baltimore, Clay, Robert, Siobhan, Elton, Bray, Paul, Kevin is here with us, Joan from New Amsterdam, John, Trevor, Doreen from Canada, Donald, Richard, Nigel, Claude, then another Nigel is here with us. Then we have Alison, Norbert, Sharon from the UK, Angela, Ovid, Jermaine, Junior, Dion, Simone, Paulette, Anne, Joy, Colin from New Jersey, Alistair, Wilbert, Doris is here, Doreen, Altisha, Melville, then it was Karen, Vorlin, Jean, Rastaman, Caesar, Nicola, Pito is here, called by Clay, Reggie, then it was Kay, Patricia, Gladwin, then Rena, Lorraine, the next Lorraine, Winston is here. He said he is on vacation in Miami. Now, you know, Winston is some places, but you know, he says vacation in Miami. The Connor Rookman, Dylan, Leroy, Wayne, Aubrey, and that's the Aubrey. Then you had Claudius as the last man in the schoolyard when it was open. We had people, Simone, Althea, Lynette from Barbados, Colin or Carlton Popo is here, and the list goes on and on and on. Denise is here, Joan, and the list goes on. The list goes on. Many students are here to listen to what we have to see. Let me give you the announcements, and then we're going to move. Let me take out this. We're going to give you the announcements, and then we're going to move with it and try to bring you the credible, valuable information that you are waiting for. We're going to bring that information to you. In terms of announcements, you know, we start with the sad ones first. Let me tell you and remind you that today is 479 days since Sergeant Vaughn, Alex Vaughn, police sergeant, was killed. And we can't hear anything more apart from the initial report from the police. These people talk about transparency. That's what they talk about, transparency. The squatter used the word transparency. You know the meaning of the word. They don't know the meaning, and therefore they can say anything. But today is 479 days since that police sergeant was shot and killed. That incident took place on the 12th of March, 2024. And we told you of the death of retired woman Sergeant Jean Simpson. We have some updated information here. Our number was 14153. I remember Simpson and others at traffic headquarters when I went there in the 90s. And she passed away recently. Traffic, then she went to A Division. The information is that there's going to be a Thanksgiving service on Saturday the 12th. That is Saturday coming at Sandy's Funeral Parlor. The viewing is from 11 to 12. The funeral service thereafter. And then she goes to, they take her to Golden Grove for burial. So yeah, Jean is going to be buried Saturday coming. All traffic rank general duty in A Division. Then we also, well, there's a death that I need to bring. The older people remember Ricky Singh, the journalist. Remember Ricky Singh was a well-known journalist. Then he had left and he went to Barbados. He resided in Barbados for some years. He died over the weekend in Barbados, I think. We told you about the death of retired Deputy Superintendent Louis Golden Body, and the funeral of Body will be on the 11th, Friday, June 11th, number 4 Village, West Coast, Barbados. There will be a service there from 11 at Bailey's Funeral Home, and then he will be buried at number 4 Village, West Coast, Barbados. That is Friday coming. Then we have the next death to announce. You know, it's a real sad thing when you have to announce this death. Retired Detective Sergeant Calvin Bailey. Bailey 12512 was his number, and he was at the TSU from some stage. Sometime remember him there working at Dr. Reed Guard with BX and all of those people there, and then he went to CID. And in CID, I remember him on the East Coast and in West Barbados, where he died recently. I think it might have been Friday. He died. So Friday or Saturday, he died. And then we have not a fatal accident. We're going to talk about it a little in a short while. On the East Coast, Micah, man driving run into the back of some truck and he died. But there's some things, some lessons to be learned from that. Because I saw in today's Stabrook News, I think it is, that the traffic chief saying, no, that's other thing. He's talking, no, that's other thing. But they're not addressing some of the main causes. And we're going to point out those causes as we go on. Now, then murder, again, you know, this place is blood every day we come on. We come on this program now 3 times a week. And almost every time we come, there's a new death, either fatal accident or some murder or something to report. So we're reporting now about some husband. They say the husband is the prime suspect in the killing of his wife. That is a suicide, not a domestic violence, it would appear. Not a domestic violence. The report is that the woman, well, he was found forced groaning, and when they checked, the wife stabbed in the house. So upon it looks as though he killed her, and then he ingested some poisonous substance. It happening frequently. Domestic violence, they're not addressing it properly. They're not addressing it. We have a case where I told you all, Amir Ahmad, his wife reported at Brigdam Police Station that he took an instrument and he struck her with it. She went and there was visible sign of injury. And you're hearing of there's about 3 to 4 weeks now. You're not hearing anything about that. Domestic violence continues. But if you get money, in the case of Amir Ahmad, he paid the commissioner of police, Ikin, $8.5 million for Brutus wedding. So I guess that if you can pay them type of money for wherever it is, all those who are making donations and all that, you're buying immunity. I guess they are buying immunity. So when reports are made against them, because in Amir Ahmad's case, many reports at different stations about his behavior, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. So yeah, we had that one. And then we saw this one too, we're going to comment on. This is what they call the road rage. Albert and Ralph Street somewhere there. That was painful to look at. Painful to look because it's circulating on social media where you see the man get stabbed, look like he left side and he started to bawl. Dead man. Dead man. Some altercation between I understand the man, some mechanic who was riding a motorcycle. I'm not sure about the details, but he had some altercation with some driver of a car, ended up in his death. That is what you have in the place. And for the older cricketers, I think you might remember a ball beater back in the days. I forgot to mention it earlier in one of the earlier programs. Jim Allen. Jim Allen came up in the era of Viv Richards. Those days they played for the Combined Islands. You hadn't Windward Island and Leeward Island then. But people will tell you that Jim Allen, not Viv Richards, Jim Allen was the ball beater. Well, he died recently. Jim Allen died. I think he was a monster rat or something. He died recently, right? But you check the records, they will tell you that Jim Allen was the bad man. He used to beat ball terrible. Said Jim used to beat ball. He played league cricket and all that in England. But Jim Allen died recently. I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to the relatives, friends, and colleagues of all those who have passed, and pray that the good Lord give you the strength to go through this difficult time. Right? So then we have, let me tell you the more pleasant greetings, man. Right? We have birthdays today. There's a man, Gibson Shetred, is always on the, well, I know I says a man, I don't think the person, Shetred Gibson, birthday today. And there's another birthday today, Felicia Pollard. You know, Devian comes on here and his wife, many times he says that he and his wife are looking at the same time. So today is our birth anniversary. And we did tell you about upcoming birthdays. We meant, and so therefore they are now belated birthday greetings, even though we had given it before. We talk about Tessa. Tessa is deserving. Tessa Isaac Gravesani, deserving of another mention. Rhonda Hall, Agatha Dillon, Reginald Weeks, 9707, my partner, my good friend. He celebrated yesterday. And also the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Compton Norton, he had one yesterday, coincided with the launching of the coalition campaign. And then in terms of upcoming birthdays, tomorrow is the birth anniversary of my squad mate. He's on the live. All you don't miss it. Stevens, 9555 Stevens. Tomorrow is his 73rd birth anniversary. And then I have a classmate who and cousin from the village of Bedford-Wacton on the east coast of Demar will be observing tomorrow. Lucille Simon, we call her Lee. Lee is going to be observing today. You know, she always boasts that she's older than me. We born the same year, but she born on the same month, but she is the 8th, and I am down in the month on the 27th. So she has always tell me, I am older than you. Yes, you are by a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and all that. So again, happy birth anniversary to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on with it. CC, welcome. Happy CARICOM Day to you.
Same to you, and same to all our viewers or listeners. Praise the Lord, we're all in the land of the living to do God's work. I want to talk a little about that sergeant that passed away, Detective Sergeant. He worked with me on the East Coast. Remember, I was once commanding the East Coast during the difficult times, the period we call the Troubles, when Feynman and his gang, they were really reaping havoc there. And I had a period there. And he was a sergeant there. And remember, they had a shooting where they riddled a guy with bullets. And the sergeant went there, Sergeant Bailey. He was one of the first responders, responded to the team in an open back police vehicle. And when he came back, he rushed to my office and he brought a piece of paper, crumpled up paper, and it marked, Stewart killed the man. And then he related to me that when I went there, there's a woman there and she was very abusive. She cussed up the police. She said the police are dogs and all kind of thing, and then she well and behaved. She even turned towards the police, you know, one thing, and she well cussed up. He said, and then she had a piece of paper in her hand, crumbled, and she shot in the vehicle and said, police are dogs. And when he reached back to the station, he said, yeah, I remember that the woman shot the paper there. And when he opened the paper there was it. The woman giving information. The same one who behaved bad, who cussed him up, that Stewart is the person who shot the man. Well, we eventually get shot shortly afterward. And then I remember a story with him, you know. He used to live in one of the house in Covanjan compound. And he became a bit, although he was an excellent detective, he became a bit careless and reckless. And he ended up in a dangerous position. I had to intervene where he had a visitor and then another visitor turned up. And they had a whole set of commotion there going on there. So I had to intervene. I had to use all of my anger management skill, my conflict resolution skill, my effectively dealing with people skill, my self-esteem, skill, and other skills to bring that situation under control. And I think I did an effective job. And later on, anytime me and Bailey reach, he would say, skip the skirt, skip the skirt, and we will laugh over the we reminisce and laugh over the matter. But he was a good guy, and may his soul rest in peace. And then I wish to announce, or with sadness, announce the death of one of my good friend, Royston Adams, gold miner. They had a set of brothers who did a lot for the gold mining industry in Guyana in terms of prospecting, in terms of producing, in terms of employing persons in the gold mining industry. I think you get a brother named Potts also was there. Did an excellent job. And I met him at Tower Hotel. Every Saturday after lunch, they used to get an after lunch. And he used to play his guitar and sing a lot of country and western song. He introduced me to the music of of Rogers and Dolly Parkinson and others. And we became friends. I attended his wedding and we became friends for life. He passed away last week, I think last week, Friday, and he'll be buried on Friday. He has quite a number of friends here on this program. He buried on Friday, I think 9:30 at Merriman's Wall viewing and 11 at St. Teresa in Campbellville. So there's a funeral arrangement for him, and may his soul rest in peace.
Yes, yes, yes. May his soul rest in peace. And I have a late birthday greeting somebody telling me of George Charles, 14128. I don't know if he's still a serving member or not, but he is celebrating a birthday today, a birth anniversary today. George Charles, 14128. That is a King Squaddy celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday to him. Now coming back to the accident that we told you about and the Micah. Now this real sad thing. It would appear, based on the information that is available, a truck broke down on the road. That is what the traffic chief is saying. That this truck encountered difficulties and broke down on the road. And the driver coming I don't know what speed he was coming. I didn't mention that. But apparently he did not realize that the vehicle was broken down in front, and he drove dead into the back of this vehicle and he died. Look at the photograph. This is what it is. This is the truck parked on it was parked, but it broke down and it was parked there, and the vehicle mashed up, driving to it. Since I saw it, I know, well, this man is a goner. It was there very, very early, the photograph, the goner. Now, the traffic chief in today's Stabrook News is making some statement. First of all, he's saying that, well, the truck wasn't parked there. The truck was just, he said the truck wasn't parked. The truck broke down, and the truck was there. So, if it broke down and the thing is parked, I might think it is parked. The circumstances which left it parking there might be one of accidental, in that it broke down and it parked. But what the traffic chief and this we got to understand, and this is something that they push. This is not an isolated case where a big truck or some obstacle is in a drive lane without proper reflectors and all of that. What he should be talking about and advocating for is that if a vehicle is left in a side of the road, you talk about vehicles should park off the road, yeah, but they must have reflectors. One of the things you got to campaign and advertise for is to make sure that these vehicles have reflector. So if you have a vehicle broke down or a vehicle stopped there for any reason, there should be standard where they come out with reflectors and so on. First of all, a truck like this should have lots of reflectors at the back. Should have reflectors at the back. These are things that should be mandated. And then if it broke down, right, maybe you can't anticipate that mechanical problem, they should get cones and these type of reflecting thing put at a certain distance so that people can be warned that there's a danger ahead. But for the traffic chief to come out and basically try to say, well, oh, the truck just break down, the truck wasn't at fault, and the man wasn't paying attention. Crap. It is utter rubbish. right? Yes, the truck breakdown, but what the traffic chief should be telling people is to make sure that all of these trucks, whether they're broke down or not, a matter of fact, when you go for fitness, they should insist that these vehicles have proper reflectors. These big vehicles in particular have proper reflectors, so that when they're traveling in the night, they can be easily observed, right? And then if a vehicle stops on the road, whether it broke down or not, get reflectors at some specified distance, as happened in the States and all of those places. They're talking about best practice. And there's no way a vehicle in the States or in a developing country can run into issues and just stop in the lane like that without putting out reflectors and other warning signs. That is what you got to do, right? He tried to defend the driver of the truck. Yeah, the thing might have broken down. It might not have been his fault, but it should have been standard where then the truck itself should have reflectors, and it should have been made to put reflectors at a distance, whether it's 20 feet, 30 feet, 60 feet away in the thing, so people know that there's danger ahead. All of them should have, fluorescence cones and reflectors and all this type of thing. And that is part of the problem, because you have these people in charge. When these things happen, they don't give it proper thought. They come and they talk a lot of crap. Traffic chief, like talk, mouth run like they say, like when sick nigga drink salts, like to talk and talk a spew a lot of nonsense. Yes, there was an accident. Maybe you can call it an incident. But how do you mitigate against that happening in the future? Not by blaming the try to blame the driver. I am saying the truck man, for the time you get into a problem like that the traffic chief describes, right? Warning signs, warning signals should be mandatory. Reflectors, a vehicle such as this, all of these vehicles, when they come for fitness, they should make sure you get proper luminous reflective strips and so on. So that if they're in the night and a vehicle behind can see them from a distance. That is what needs to happen. So traffic chief, and I know the minister and all these people, the extended squatter who don't listen, they're going to report what slow say and all this stuff. I am saying that. I was a traffic chief. And I'm saying that is what you have to campaign for. I know something, this is not reinventing the wheel, Let them check the records. When the Scottish people were here to do a reform, there was one man who was looking at the traffic situation. And that was one of the recommendations. I have that report until now because I was the lead person in the thing. I have that report where the police vehicles and patrol were to have certain things along the highway, in particular reflectors. So if a vehicle broke down, the police can put those things in place to warn people of the danger ahead. And these vehicles were to be given reflective. And they talk about all sort of things. Overface Ministry Ben and all of them. This is something they should do, right? Even if they have to acquire these reflective strips and make sure that these vehicles, these trucks, you get a lot of trucks on the roads now, fetching sand, fetching other materials and all sort of things. Many, many, many trucks, the big vehicles in particular, all should be given those things. That is the type of campaign that should go on if they're talking about safety. Acquire these things and maybe even not a nominal cost. Give the people them free. Put it on. It's safety you're talking about. It's life you're saving. I could imagine how the family feel when they hear the nonsense that the traffic chief is saying, blaming the driver. The man dead. And they're blaming me, say maybe he wasn't paying attention and all this crap. Pay attention. If you're driving a truck stop there, and then they went on to say part of the problem in the area, they don't have lights and all that. Even more reason why you have to make sure that these vehicles have proper reflectors. More reason, because they don't have lights in the area. You know that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to have you seen that. CC, what say you?
I endorse your statement, and where the traffic chief trying to cast blame. Imagine the truck wasn't parked, it was broken down. Just like I read a release where they say the vehicle was stationary, and then they put in, it was not moving. And I wouldn't be surprised, he didn't come out and say, if he put that down as an incident and not as a fatal accident. I am be surprised. Instead of this traffic chief, they're looking holistically under the traffic situation, they just jumping about the place just like they what happening on the road, and unless they have a holistic approach towards traffic enforcement, traffic education, traffic engineering, the chaos, the fatalities on the road will continue. Will continue.
Yeah. I thought that we'll mention that because I know it's sad, when you lose a life. As I say, every time we come on this program, either some murder or some fatal accident, they call them incident, or whatever they want to call it. Somebody else die on the road. Somebody else die on the road. Right? The traffic chief is an assistant commissioner. Name, I think, is Mahendra Singh. I think that's his name. Assistant commissioner. Very controversial person. Very controversial person. Read the record. Right? Had all sorts of serious allegations, criminal allegations made against him, and nothing happened. Same person. Same person. A lot of criminal allegations made against him. Sexual assault, rape made against him. Carried in, it was in the paper, so I am telling something. If you want to, you got to sue the paper, them it's there. Allegations were made. I saw one of those reports, right? Nothing happened. So that is the problem you have. People there talking a lot of crap. It angered me to see the statement issued or the comments made by the traffic chief in today's topic in relation to that accident. In relation to that accident. The truck broke down. Mechanical fault. Maybe the driver has no control over that. Right? But you got to get certain protocols established. Truck broke down in a main lane, main highway, or whatever we will call it. Safety mechanisms got to be put in place. Safety. I drive all over this place, I drive in the States, I drive in the Caribbean and all these places, and I can recall, especially in the States, they got a vehicle in a lane, some problem, both cones and all of these things out to warn drivers. Because in a place like the States, that driver and the owner of that vehicle will be culpable. To have a vehicle broke down there and then put proper warning is illegal, is a lawsuit, they're catching them right away. But, Guyana, them things don't happen. Now, let me move on. Cricket, buddy. I got West Indies. All these cricket fans, West Indies all Arctic, water under yard. Not me. I am realistic. I know that the type of cricket West Indies playing, maybe they're going to beat Zimbabwe and that. Talking about Zimbabwe playing South Africa. The man South Africa made, 626 to 5 declare. The captain, Wayne Mulder, 367 not out. So in certain islands in the Caribbean, they had what they call record watch because they felt he would have broken Brian Lara's record of 400 as the highest test score. But the man declared, he's the captain, declared at 367, which means that the man was looking at the team. He wasn't looking at himself. Because many captains, I can tell you, wouldn't declare at them type of score when a world record is in sight. I know Zimbabwe seems to be the team, apart from England. When Brian Lara made the world record, was against England when he broke Sober's record. And then shortly after Lara broke Sober's record, the record was broken by Matthew Eden from Australia against Zimbabwe. Right? And then Lara came back against England again and broke the record. So now Mulder had Zimbabwe to deal with, and he declared at 626 for 5 when he was on 367. Right? Congrats to him, man. Congrats to him. And of course, Zimbabwe bowled out for 170. And the last one I saw the battle, they had 30 something for one already. So today's the second day. So you can see right away there is a 3-day or 2 and a little bit, 2-day and a little bit test match. So yeah. But the cricket that I enjoyed the most yesterday was the one with India and England, where many of us felt that India batted too long, gave them 600 and odd runs in it. I fretted. I said, well, yeah, I'll declare oh yeah, and declare and get these people. But as it turned out, when they finally declared, they were able to pick up some 3 quick wickets on the 4th afternoon. And then yesterday, the 5th day, they were able to roll over England. So the series is now level 1-1 going into Lords. Fantastic cricket, man. Shubman Gill, double 100 in the first innings, double 100 in the second innings. The captain of India. Watch good cricket. Good bowling, good batting, good feeling. Watch good cricket. I am not going to stress out over West Indies cricket. Trust me. I'm a West Indian, yes, but I am not going to stress. I want them to do well. I want them to do well. But buddy, right? I am not going to stress when they don't do well. I know CC is a cricketer too, so I'm bring in for you what he has to say before we move on. CC, what say you?
Well, I've been watching the England India series, and that really is test cricket. The first test and the second test, and I see the writing on the wall for the West Indies, but I'm forced sometimes to watch it because my wife is a cricket fan and she's always there and watching West Indies, and she believes she's a true God West Indian. So if I'm home, I have to watch it all. But I see the writing on the wall, the West Indies. They gotta revamp the whole team. They gotta get other batsmen. The bowlers doing exceedingly well. But the batsmen, them are ready yet. They did well. Some of the batsmen did well during the last 4 days competition that we had. But I remember Colin Kraft saying that is a vast difference between those matches and test matches. And he said the difference between those matches, those first class matches and matches, is 500 miles.
Yeah, let me tell you this. I looked at West Indies batting in the first innings, right? And the way John Campbell got out, I told somebody there, I say, hey, if I had been a selector, that would have been the last match. This man played a test match against a team like Australia in there. The man run down the wicket, and he was on 40, I think, run down the wicket and pelt a lash, as you would say, and lob the ball to mid-on or mid-off. Man run down the wicket. Man run down the wicket, an opening batsman playing a top team in the world before he put the head down. Man run down. That's a brain rush, a brain freeze or whatever. Run down the wicket, felt the lash and get out. I say if I had been a selector, right, that would have been a farewell match. But I am no selector. Right? Now let me congratulate the new elected executive of the Ghana Press Association. There's an association that was led by Nazima Ragobir, right? Who will have to stand up to all the attack and all the abuse and that sort of thing from the one day on Thursday and all this out. She stood firm. And I love her for that. She stood her ground. And this girl, Marshall, did the other day too, when the president, when they asked the president some questions about the lobbyists and he getting out under the collar, she stood her ground. And that's what you have to have. Very respectful, but stand your ground. You're doing your job. So yesterday they had the election of office bearers. And now before I say, for the longest while, the last time they had elections, the PPP got a lot of people, pro-PPP people want to take over the Ghana Press Association. They want to take over. That is one of the things they want. I don't know if they contested on this occasion, but they had the election yesterday. And then you have Ivor Wharton. She's a senior journalist at Capital News. She's elected as the new president. You have Vice President Ariana Gordon. She's from Kaicho News. She's the vice president. And then you have Svetlana Marshall of News Source. That's a girl who stood up and stood her grounds when she was asking the president some questions. She is a treasurer. Samantha Aline Williams. Samantha is the assistant secretary treasurer, I think. Assistant treasurer, yes. And you have some elected committee members, Royston Drakes, Miranda LaRose, Gordon Mosley, Go Mo, and Sherwin Belgrave. And then they say additionally, they had Kurt Campbell of Newsroom and Bibi Bacchus of Safe TV. I didn't even know they had such a thing. They have been co-opted to the executive. And they said Attorney Della Britton served as the returning officer. So, well, congratulations to the newly elected executive, right? I got to find out that was the backstory, because I was anticipating that they're going to put the critic and all them going to run there to put in puppets of the government, puppets. But a party then walk out. Then walk out. So again, congratulations to them. Now, you had on Saturday, as we had said, first anniversary, Ghana Police Force had the anniversary route march. And you know, I said on Friday that I hope Robeson Ben, the Minister of Affairs, will be properly attired, because 2 years ago in 2023, he came to the route march with his back-down clothes, his farm clothes. He had on his farm clothes. This is the manner in which the Minister of Home Affairs dressed in 2023, July 1, or whenever that route march was held. That is how he dressed. So disrespectful. And I commented then on Facebook. I said, total disrespect. Look at the mode of dress of the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, as he takes the salute from units of the Ghana Police Force during the 184th anniversary route march. What a disgrace. Damn disgrace indeed. And then we had a situation where he had activity all this year with the prison service. Medal parade, men in ceremonial uniform. And look how he dressed again. Looky. Ceremonial uniform. Look at boots he get on. Look the shoe. Look the pants he get on at that activity. So I looked with interest to see how he would have dressed this time around. And I got to congratulate him. Look. This is the manner in which the minister dressed on Saturday last day for the route march. The man got a long sleeve short jack, and the man look good. When I look good, I mean in the manner of his attire. Not face. You can't change the face at all. Can't say the face look good. But at least he looked a little respectable in his long sleeve short jack. And maybe because it's a farewell parade, you know. And then he's there with the squatter, the shaking hands. Maybe it's because both of them was the same sayonara. Both of them shaking hands. Because this is the last anniversary parade. The last. So they shake their hand. Next thing I go somewhere and hug up one another and cry. Right? They're going to hug up one another and cry. But a good thing we talk, you know, again, this program has its effects, you know. They're going to admit it, but this program can be very, very effective, because look at how the minister dressed Saturday there. Look at how the minister dressed. The man looked respectable. The man looked surprisingly respectable. So congratulations, Minister Ben, on your attire. I don't know if you buy it or if you went to the quartermaster store or if they provided you with a short job, because I noted that your PS, your permanent secretary, he had on a short jack, too long sleeve, look like the same make and thing. So maybe, I don't know. So I thought I'll mention that. Let me bring you CC to make his comment before we move on. CC, look at the minister find nice long sleeve short jack to put on.
Perhaps he listened to me, you know, because I had recommended that he wear the same clothes that he wore when one his uncle's funeral. I saw him there, and we shook hands. We had a brief conversation, and he really looked good. And to me, it looking like there's the same clothes that he had on there, the short jacket, the black pants, and the shoe. Congratulations, Minister. Well done on your farewell.
Now, you know, I'm a man of words. When you say look good, you must say dressed well, not look good. You look good. You can't look good. I tend to say, you talk about this. He dressed well. He dressed well.
Okay.
So you make the correction. He dressed well. All right.
Yeah, correct.
Now, let me move on. You know, this place is not a real place, you know. And let me talk first about the launching. You know, yesterday, the coalition launched the campaign. The coalition launched a campaign yesterday after the Square Revolution. And I said on the last program, PPP has been campaigning a long time. They have been in campaign mode a long time. Now, there are some things that we need to observe. We understand, based on releases, that the police were doing training, election preparedness training. And we know the attorney there with them went wrong and he teaching the people. And we said some of the things got to teach is operational issues. Operational issues. Got to tell them what the law, Representation of the People's Act, Public Order Act, and all these things. Attorney Dylan Fraser would do a good job with that. But you need people who can tell them about the practical stuff on the ground. The practical stuff, right? And some of the things that we are seeing, look, I was sure it's difficult for them to shock you, but they still shock you. I'm going to show you all this one. So share the live, share. The police, they have the social media page. They have something they call Radio Evelary too. Radio Evelary, we are not a radio station they have, where police officers will give interviews and they will say what they got to say. Yesterday on Radio Evelary, I listened it out. James Bond, 00 Knot, license to lick Batty, is on Radio Evelary yesterday. And on the police social media page, campaigning for the PPP, talking about the thing about the president and the president and no opposition on the police radio station. Can you imagine that? How can you then say that you're impartial? At least try to give the impression that you're impartial. James Bond, 00 Knot, license to Old Umbrella, license to Lick Batty. This man there on Radio Evelary, campaigning, police radio. I want that sink in, I want that sink in. And they talk about people respecting the police. They talk about police ought to be impartial. And you have a political prostitute on the police radio. On the police radio, a political prostitute campaigning for the incumbent. How can people respect the policeman? How can people respect the police? Right? See, I don't know if you saw that, but what are your views, my brother? Police social media page, police radio, you get James Bond. I call you a political prostitute, right? The man campaigning on the police radio for Irfan Ali and the PPP. What are your views?
I didn't get it live, but several persons called me. I even, members of the force also, that they politicizing it. Imagine he on the radio and talking about his PPP strategy for the upcoming election. It is, I can't even find words to describe it. It should never happen. The police must be apolitical. But then again, when you install the head of the PR department, when you install it there, what do you expect? He's there to do political work. He and his deputy. So it wouldn't be surprising. It's not surprising that you invite James Bond, and he might invite others too. But now that we spoke about it, they might tone it down or they might stop it. But I won't be surprised if other members of the PPP go on that radio and talk about this strategy or talk about the upcoming elections, what they're doing, and trying to influence people, more so influencing the police to vote for the PPP.
Well, let me say this, even if they don't stop it, I believe the opposition parties and these people who talk about election monitoring and all this type of thing, they should intervene. GCOM and these people should intervene because it is wrong. It gives the wrong impression when you have a political person on the police radio campaigning for the incumbent. It is wrong. You can't justify that. How then do you appear, at least give the appearance of being impartial when you're condoning that? And some people ask if they're going to give opposition members equal time. No. The police radio should never get involved in that. Never, ever get involved. They should be doing infomercials, telling people perhaps of the right to vote and not to be intimidated. Those are the type of things might be accepted. But to have a political prostitute on the radio station and on the police social media page, it is unacceptable because the police radio is we taxpayers' money funding that. It's our money. And how then do you justify that? How then do you say that you're impartial? You can't. You cannot say that you're impartial in that matter. So I'm saying, and many of these things have to be nipped in the bud. Many of these things have to be nipped in the bud. Because people like Ikin and Mark Ramatar and them, they know better. They don't know better. I'm convinced about that. So therefore, you have to have, people got to write maybe to the ABC countries and all of these people who said they're having observers and delegations to observe. This is the time. These are the things you got to start with. You can't wait to observe on election day when everything gone awry. You have got to intervene now to say that this is wrong and it should not be. Because again, I'm saying it creates the impression that the police are not apolitical, the police are not fair and even-handed in these matters. That's the impression that is being created. You got to highlight these things. You got to highlight these things. And then remember we highlighted this one where Zulfikar Mustafa, the Minister of Agriculture, gone to Barakara or so whatever you understand. Get these school children, poor people pick me. Black poor people pick me. Right? As prop. As prop. And you want to tell me them things are wrong? You want to tell me that those things are not wrong? No political party should be allowed to use children in this manner. None. Whether you're ruling, whether you're in the opposition, none should be allowed to do that. And then I saw one, let me see if I get this, let me see if I get a tape. I was trying to get a tape to show you. Let me see. Yes, I think I have it here. Look at this. It's a very short tape. Look. Let me play it again. I understand that the man you saw there in the red is a Tishau for some Amerindian village, Tishau meaning the chief, the thing. He is, as you saw, assaulting a supporter of a political party. Might be T. Mohammed or something. Assaulting this man. Assaulting this man. The same man, there's another tape with him, stomping on the flag of the Win party. A warning again. I have done it. I warned before. I'm warning again. These things have to be nipped in the bud. Because look how he chucked the man. Suppose the man had retaliated and give a straight right. Police would have hustled and arrested the man. That is what would have happened. They would have arrested the man who retaliated. These things are wrong. And the police have to be even-handed and deal with it now. Can't wait, because I noted, I observed that all the reports of intimidation and assaults that have taken place thus far are being done by people who are supporting the PPP. We had the one where the woman, Zafrali woman, assaulted the man, and the man who was assaulted got locked up in Barbies. We saw that, and we saw others as well, right? Old people say, you don't hear when the first bell ring, you know. When first bell ring, old people say you don't hear, right? But when people retaliate, then you're going to hear all sorts of things. They're going to use, the PPP going to use the police as they have done in the past to lock up people and all of that. But these things are wrong, and the police need to be able to deal with these matters now. Don't wait, because it's going to get worse. It's likely to get worse if you don't intervene and deal with it condignly from the inception. It is likely to get worse. And when I say that, you know, long ago when I was a little boy, as I would say, when you hear meetings and so on, you get ganged. You're going from a distance, and you don't care who, whether it's PPP or PNC or UF in them days, you don't care who get once we hear they get meeting, they walk around. in the village and the announced meeting. Oh man, that is fun for you. We get Gandhi head. And we're gonna pelt them with Gandhi egg and so on. That was fun. Now people get guns, people get other instruments, and therefore a clear message has to be sent very early that these type of things will not be tolerated. Police sit back, they ain't doing nothing. They're even making a statement this quarter, and the public, the propaganda unit, they're not making any statement. They're not making any statement. And then when something happens, they're going to also blame people. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to have his say on this. See, you see what's going on there, and then people, you're hearing nothing, the man assaulting a man. And the same guy, there's another video, I don't have it here, he take down the wind guy in a flag and he's stamping on the flag and all them type of thing. Those things, if they stamping the flag, might not be a criminal act, but it can provoke a breach of the peace. He's acting in a manner likely to provoke a breach of the peace, and police should intervene. Your say, my brother.
You mentioned about Darren Fraser going about dealing with the law, perhaps a representation of the People Act, they call it RUPO, the Public Order Act. I don't know if you're doing the Racial Hostility Act. But the operational part of this story, of this elections, and it's going to get hot. We seen issues coming up, and I'm not certain that the experience isn't there, the operational experience isn't there from the various commanders. If you look at Region 1, he was never in charge of a division during election time. The same thing in Region 2, never in charge of a division during election time. 3, same thing. 4A, yes, McBean was. 4B, no way. 4C, never in charge. 5, was yet. 6, same thing. Region 7, same thing. 8, 9, and 10, they never had any experience, any operation experience as commanders for a division during election. Even the confirmed squad and all was never in charge of a division during election time. And this is going to be hot. And let me share 2 experiences that I had when I was commander ENF division. PPP had a meeting I spoke with it before, but I wish to share it. Had a meeting at Wismo, sure. And had a reasonable crowd. Gadraj was the Home Affairs Minister, and he was in the front, at the front. And he signaled me, and I had to go on stage to see him. I had to walk it back, and I go on the stage at the front where he was. And he asked me to estimate the crowd. I give him an estimate, and he said, oh, when the PPP holding meetings, the crowd is small, yeah, Reborn crowd small. And when the PNC holding meeting, the crowd large. Look at this crowd. I said this crowd get belly, and this crowd is a small crowd. It's not a large crowd. And I quickly walk away. 2 days afterward, Commissioner Larry Lewis called me. He said, come. And he showed me a photograph with me and Gadraj on the stage. I was in uniform. And somebody took out my photograph and they wrote at the back, police commander on PPP stage. So Larry Lewis said, explain it. And I explained to him what took place. All right, be very careful. A week afterward, President Jack Dio went to Anai or on a Porto Valley to hold a meeting. And surprisingly, Bishop Edgel was there. He didn't start show the colors yet. He was secretly joining with the PPP. He went there with the PPP delegation there. And they had problem with the mic. And he turned to me, he said, Commander, come and see if you could look at this mic. And I watch him and I say, Mr. Edgel, I am not troubling no political mic. I'm not handling any political mic. And I walk away. because I had experience before. I had experience at Barticle, and then any things you do, people might say you are political. You might come brother, like how they get James Bond and them kind of thing, though. Or you might come brother, like how you see the Commander Region 6, just fully in uniform with a PP bracing them, with a PPP supporter bracing them down. That as commander, you have to get experience and you got to be careful. You got to be impartial. Yeah, watch it there. Watch it there. Total breach of police standard 12 appearance and conduct. Look at them there. And you can't tell me he creating impression that he is politically inclined. And these are the things that commander you got to know. But when you have commandos, apart from Commander 4B, 4A, none of them are experienced dealing with political meetings and political rallies and this kind of thing. We're gonna get. I'm afraid to say it, but you're gonna get a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, get a whole host of issues going to go on. And then we may look to where I hold no brief for Mohammed, but the police. And let me read the police. The the Constitution is saying, Article 148. No person shall be deprived of his or her freedom of movement. That's to say, the right to move freely throughout Guyana, the right to reside in any part of Guyana, the right to enter Guyana, and the right to leave Guyana, and immunity from expulsion from Guyana. You're talking about the protection of freedom of movement. Be hearing that you gotta get permission from a Marine captain before you go in the area. This constitution say that you get freedom of movement, and only the judge or so-called court could order you, could prevent you from going any place. And the constitution is the supreme law. Any other law is subordinate to the supreme law. And if you're going to draft law, you're going to draft the Amerindian Act. It must form neatly within the ambit of the Constitution. And the Constitution say, yes, you have a right to move freely unless there is some court order that prevent you. And they say, no, you can't go there unless you get permission from the thing. The Amerindian Act, that section there, has collided violently with the Constitution. And they got to bow down and say, yes, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. When it collide, it dead. It just look like them accident that you go on the road there. So commanders, I don't know how they're going to operate because they don't have the experience, and a lot of things is going to happen, and a lot of them going to get skin up, just like the one in Region 6, or we get skin up because he's political.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm concerned about the operational aspect, and this is not taking anything away from Superintendent Dylan Fraser. Excellent officer, very knowledgeable. He's an attorney at law, and therefore he is well equipped to teach them about the law as it relates to election, representation of People's Act, Public Order Act, and other relevant legislation. But who is going to teach them about the operational matters of all the divisional commanders, as Mr. Conway pointed out a while ago? Only one of them get a little experience running a division during an election. There's the man at 48. And that is part of the problem when you pitchfork these people into these positions. None of them. I remember as a young, and Ulrich and these people can bear me out, as a young superintendent at West Demerara in 1994, they had the local government elections, right? I was the commander there, young superintendent, and everything went like clockwork. And since then, I was commander Georgetown at election, Borbees at election, Georgetown more than once. And you have to have experience because it's good to see what they're in the book. But unless certain things are related to you and you're told how to act on those things, you're going to find yourself in trouble. Especially a force that is being led by an incompetent commissioner and a force that is being manipulated by a corrupt government. God, they're going to call and tell you the what manner of things. And because they lack the experience and lack the knowledge, they're going to do what they are told to do, even though they might know or suspect that it is wrong. So we are in for a very interesting time. And again, I say that operational matters, in addition to the laws, operational matters are key and critical. For example, when we talk about this meeting where you see the man assaulting a man stamping and flag. Because here what's going to happen. Let me tell you how it's going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to start, parties are going to start putting up flags and buntins and all this everything. And people are going to tear them down. That is a normal practice. You put up flag, the coalition put up flag in what is supposed to be a PPP area, then we're going to tear it down. The PPP put up flag in what is supposed to be a coalition area and tear it down. You, the police, have to know how to deal with those things. Notification is going to be given for political meetings and so on. You might very well find one of the smaller parties and opposition party give you a notification for a particular area. PPP want the same area at the same time. You have got to know how to handle those things. You have got to know, you have got to sit down, you have got to have meetings and strategize how to deal with these things. And you have to have some type of uniformity. So it happens the same, the matters are going to be dealt with in all the divisions in the same manner. You have a record who gave notification for the meeting first. A record is there. You get a meeting book. This body gave letter of notification. They want a meeting at X place between X time and Y time. Right? And you have no objection. So when somebody come afterwards and say they want a meeting at the same place and time, you can refer to the book and say no, because the law speaks to that. It speaks to the proximity of the two meetings and all of that. That is a thing that you have to teach. That is what the practical aspect. Get the book. Because what's going to happen, as I've said, the PPP can bully the way. They want particular, let me understand. Certain meeting places all over the country, every region got a favorite meeting place that are going to attract a lot of people to come. Right? They want to dominate them area. You have got to make sure that you get a book. Because what they're going to do too, and I'm teaching these commanders, because what they're going to do too, some of them going to come, they're going to want to give you notification for a long time, next 2 months. They want a block off all these places so the other parties can go. They will attempt to do that. There is some experience. They will attempt to do that. So you have to know what the law says, not more than a month. So therefore, once it comes, say, sorry, you can't do it at least at that time. You can't do it at that time. That is how you got to command the division. And you as a commander, you have got to let them know that you ain't playing politics. Your P is not politics. Your P is policing. Unfortunately, we don't have that type of commander now. We don't have that type of commanders where people will know. Because once you stand up and they know that, then they're going to bring stupidness to you thereafter. But if they know, as indeed they do, that all y'all, well, most of you are political, trouble in the dance. I can anticipate trouble. We'll talk about practical too. I saw a picture yesterday. PPP somewhere, I don't know exactly where. They get a tent, and obviously they were setting up for meeting. It looked as though when the picture was taken, it was early. Because there weren't many people. Some people, they put PPP thing in front. 2 police women who obviously went there to work in uniform. They're sitting at the back under the tent. They hadn't done any address. You should tell them you can't do that. You cannot do that. It gives the wrong impression. And these things are very, very important. But if you get a commissioner who is a shittabati, and then you get most of the commanders there who are similar, what do you expect? What will you expect? Now, I said yesterday we had the launch with the James Bond thing. You know, when I saw James Bond there, I remember Melly Mel say, you get Kira. Melly Mel the other day say, you get Kira. And I look, the little piece that they look, you get Kira is there washing him out. Them people ain't got no shame. Political prostitutes. And people like Pilori Joe. And not because they are African in origin, you know. In other words, they are BICOs. BICOs. You know, during the last election with Republican and so on, in the even before the last election in the US, the Republicans, Donald Trump, the president now, used to refer to some Republicans as RICOs. Republicans in name, rhinos, R-I-N-Os. Republicans in name only. Right? I call people like Bond and Pilori Joe and them BICOs. They're black in color only. They are black in color only. They have absolutely no shame. absolutely no shame. For example, Palawi Joe, from me area, some know you good. Used to be at PNC. He been with Rabbi Washington, used to sell Gatani Dasha Kikini and selling plantain chip around the place. Then he been PNC. Then he been with GGG with Hamilton Green. But he find a way now with PVP. James Man, same thing, upping around the place. He even went so far, he almost forget, I get good memory, that he challenged for the leadership of the PNC, the same James Man, Yeah, same 0 not challenge to the leadership of the PNC. And of course he lost. And there's a quote, let me put it up quickly. There's a quote here which is appropriate. Somebody, the man named Randall James, this is a long time, but I bring it up. He said, by endorsing a party widely accused of corruption, extrajudicial killings, money laundering, and the transfer of national wealth to select few families, these people have revealed not a political shift, but a serious lapse in character. Opportunism may offer short-term rewards, but no one ever truly trusts a turncoat, and history won't either. That is so true. They are opportunists. They are ideology for say, well, all right, we align with this ideology. You can't have ideology which changes every couple of years. No, that is not an ideology. That is being an opportunist. They promise you something, and in other words, another word for it, that is being a political prostitute. That is being a political prostitute. In other words, you're giving a little bit to anybody who offer you something. It's a prostitute, eh? You offer money and you pay for favors. And it's the same thing with them. You offer them something and they're gonna come, they're gonna they come and then just flash something like them. They have absolutely no shame. And I have no regret in saying that. I have no hesitation in saying that. They are political prostitutes. And I only name two, but there are others as well. There are others as well who are also political prostitutes. Right? Now, coming out of the launch yesterday of the APNU campaign, Ganesh Paul, my boy, the man, I didn't hear the speech, but later on I read what the man said. And let me read what this article from HGP TV about Ganesh. Ganesh said, if a partnership for national unity, APNU, wins the September 1 election, they say acting, but not acting. Police Commissioner Clifton Ekin will be shown the door fast. They say if the coalition wins the election, Ekin will be shown the door fast. And I agree. I believe he can be shown the door fast in any event. And it goes on to say, they said that was a fiery vow delivered by APNU vice presidential candidate Ganesh Paul Sunday night as he unleashed a blistering attack on what he called the crumbling leadership of the Guyana Police Force. He said crumbling. That's continuous. Crumbling is continuous, according to the language. I would say they crumbled, don't crumble already, of the Guyana Police Force. Addressing a crowd of supporters at the Square of the Revolution, Paul did not hold back, saying the moment APNU takes office, it will begin sweeping changes across state institutions, starting with the very top of the police force. He goes on to say, quote, Clifton Ekin has to go home, end the quote, Paul declared, to cheers from the crowd. Then he goes on, his message to rank and file officers was clear. Help is coming. Paul claimed many in uniform are fed up with being sidelined and overlooked, while a handful of politically favored individuals stay parked in power. He told officers APNU sees them, and a new government would give them the professional leadership they deserve. Quote, he's an embarrassment to the force, end of quote. Paul said of Ekin. Quote again, and the only reason he is still there is because Irfan Ali and the PPP want it that way. They are blocking real promotions and holding back people who are far more capable, end of quote. He painted a picture of a police force on the edge, good officers demoralized, corruption left unchecked, and the public losing trust. My Paul said that the APNU is ready to flip the script and fast. The crowd, already energized by earlier speeches, erupted when he said the force could not be rebuilt while Akin remains in command. Quote, this country can fix law and order. This country can't fix law and order with broken leadership, end of quote. He told supporters, quote, the cleanup starts at the top and Akin is the first to go, end of quote. My Paul remarks come as part of the APNU's broader campaign promise to root out what they say is widespread political interference and corruption across government bodies. But this moment struck a chord because for many ordinary Guyanese, complaints about police biases, stalled cases, and uneven justice have become deeply personal. Quote, we're not just talking about systems, we're talking about people's lives, my Paul said, end of quote. People want to feel safe. They want to be heard. And they want a police force that works for them, not against them. With the election just weeks away, APNU is setting a confrontational tone and putting the public on notice that if they win, big changes will come swiftly and no one at the top is safe. I endorse that statement fully. I endorse the statement. You can reform the police force, as I've been saying before, with people like Akin and many other senior ones there. They got to go. You cannot reform the police force. We just talk about the radio evil thing. How in God's name, a professional police force, a professional leadership will allow something like that to happen? How in God's name they allow the police radio to be used for political campaigning? How come? How are you going to do that? Right? Akin has to go. He should have never been there in the first place. Long before he was appointed, I'm on record as saying he's not qualified academically or otherwise. But they wanted a puppet. So the way he passed retirement age, and they appointed him unconstitutionally past his retirement age. Nanlal, say, he finds something that there's nothing wrong with appointing a man after he passed retirement age as commissioner. Never happened before. All the commissioners who were extended had already been appointed commissioner. This man, meeting 55 more days some time ago. Whether it's 55 or 56, there's still a question as to his real age. And on December the 19th last year, well past his retirement date, they finally appointed as commissioner. And what has he done? Before then, and even now, what has he done? Look at the state the force is in. Look at the state that the Guyana police force is in. And you tell me, will Gail Teixeira and them say, now this man has done such a stellar work? Well, several Gail Teixeira were inclined to forgive her because it looked like nicotine as a delayed effect. So maybe you can forgive her. But others say, oh, this man does such a good job. One man even wrote to say that the other police forces in the Caribbean are trying to emulate the Guyana police force. One man wrote that in the newspaper. Try to emulate what? Incompetence and corruption? The Guyana police force. And I, from a vantage point, because I served for 37 years, and then I had the privilege of working in several countries in the Caribbean with police officers, senior and other officers in the Caribbean. I have maintained a relationship with them up to day like today. And people just want to know what really going on with the Guyana police force when they read some of these things. When they read some of these things, and people saying that people trying to emulate, perhaps they don't know what is the meaning of the word emulate. That is what is going on. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. Cece, you want to say anything at this stage, my brother?
Well, I'm not certain what you said, because this computer went blank and no come on back. So I'm not
Okay,
certain.
all right. You can pick up the thing as we go along because I was talking about Ganesh Paul's statement about Akin at the rally last night. where he said that if the coalition comes into office, the first order of business is to send Ikin packing. First order of business is to send him packing. And he should have never been appointed in the first place, I've said. Because I mentioned on this I said to the students on this program, I said, and you supported that, even before he was appointed, that he's not qualified either academically or otherwise to to be the commissioner of police. But they wanted a stooge. And he boasted, long before he was appointed, that the vice president, when he was opposition leader, told him that once the government come into power, they're going to make him the commissioner. And therefore, he lead API, he lead API a dance, he lead a dance, undermine API, who was there carrying on the functions. He do all sort of things to undermine API. To the point where, when API left to go on some meeting, Aiken unlawfully and unconstitutionally promoted people, had no such power. He wasn't acting commissioner. He wasn't commissioner. He promoted people. When API came back a few days after and saw it, right, API rescinded those promotions. And it can run to the political masters and complain to them. And they instructed API to recognize the promotions. And then API right to say after some thinking and he too. API wrote that. Me, I did going back on that. First of all, if I was in that position, no way an incompetent joker like Ike would have risked that. We couldn't risk that. Undermined API. And they gave the work. They had him there, carrying acting. Well, I made him acting shortly after. They had him acting there. And then past E-board day, 55th board day, public service rules, once it's 55, E-band, July 22. They're sure about the year, right? So the 1st of August, supposed to be a civilian. Nah, they keep it there and appointed him long after, then they promoted him to commissioner of police. Unconstitutionally, they promoted him. So therefore, when you get all them shootings, you get all them things going on with police. A man sits in an office as commissioner of police and admitted in writing that he took $8.5 million from a businessman to finance a wedding. He admits that in a statement. And I'm making the point, no sensible corporal or constable writing that, even if they're done it, they weren't committing that to writing. They're not committing because that's an indictment. But the man then get them 10%. No police in writing that, no railway police. Because them in police, you have many of them in police uniform, but they're not policemen. Which police can write that he took $8.5 million and he counted it in his office? That is misconduct in public office. The man admitted that, and nothing can happen. Nothing can happen. So I agree with the statement made by Ganesh Mike Paul, right, that he got to go. And I am disappointed that more pressure is not being brought to bear for him to go. Don't wait till the government change. Get rid of him now, because every day he stays there, the police force being more and more demoralized. Every day he stays there. And you know, it's sad. Before I bring in CC, I feel for those hardworking policemen and women, you know, feel for them. There are many of them hardworking, honest, dedicated, committed, competent, loyal people, right? But they're painting with the same broad brush. Everybody getting paint with the same broad brush, right? And therefore, that is what you have. That is what you have. Incompetence at the highest level. So what do you expect? What do you expect? Demoralization. People demoralize. Policemen are trying to leave. They have left in droves. They have left in droves, so much so that when you ask to retire now, they're not granting you retirement. People walk off the job. Because if a man don't want to be in the job, why refuse him retirement? People walking off and going to say, well, forget about that. People with years and years, 10 years and above service have just decided to chuck whatever benefit and thing. Let's forget about that. Maybe only NIS they can get because it's contributory. People walking away because there's no proper leadership. There is no proper leadership. So CC, that is what I was talking about. So anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, and just to add, you know, that they undermine Happy tremendously because we used to have much ministerial phrase. They call a meeting, Happy's there, and then after, well, they say, Commission, you can go. There's the end of it. and these will remain. And those who remain, including Hicken and us, those are people who used to make the decision, undermine and happy. And then I agree with my Paul said. For me, I'm going to use a term that the hands that damage the Ghana police force cannot reform it. I repeat, the hands that damage the Ghana police force cannot reform it. Repeat, and the hands are, for this Ghana police force to reform, you gotta get a lot of hemorrhage, bleeding got to take place, and I'm talking physically. That there must be hemorrhage, and the hemorrhage got to start from the head, go right down the division. It got to happen all the way to the force cannot be properly reformed. There got to be hemorrhage, there got to be bleeding, and they got to start with the head. And it's time that he can go. Well, I tell you after election, so he can go after election, because that is what he tell you is the second the two ICs that the president said that they're going to keep it till after election. But then when it's after election, it could be another 5 years after election too. But then again, we know what would happen in election. We know what happened on the 4th of September. So he on his farewell lap.
Right. Farewell. Farewell. Here, ropes and bell holding on and shaking on there. Yeah. They're going to go. They're going to go. So it's the worst commissioner we've had. Let me understand this thing. And this is not being personal. Look, assess what is going on. Assess. Make an honest and objective assessment. Man can't even face the media for saying nothing. And when he speaks, he talk a lot of crap. A lot of crap. And let me think this one here will tell you. Recently, this is a nice segue into this other one here. On July 1, right? There was he talks about decentralizing delivery of motor vehicle fitness, gun license, police clearances. Here, what is being reported? According to Commissioner of Police Ikin, on the week's edition of Safeguarding Our Nation, that is a one that we talk a lot of crap, right? Where he noted that the Ghana Police Force is decentralizing the delivery of services to outlying regions while improving working conditions within the force. Some of the services that are being decentralized, including the delivery of passports, certificates of fitness of motor vehicles, gun license, and police clearance. Quote, what we are doing now is that it goes straight back to the home instead of people coming to Georgetown. That is happening with the vehicle fitness too. That is happening with ammunition and police clearance. End the quote, the police commissioner said. He noted that this service reduces not only time, but money spent by residents of outlying areas, such as regions 1, 7, 8, and 10, in retrieving their documents. Quote, even to region 10, those people have to come to Georgetown to acquire services. And when they are coming to Georgetown, they are spending a lot of money, 10 times more than they are paying for the package. They are paying for the package they are coming for. So we decided that we will help these people out, end of quote, he noted. He can assume this role on March 30th, 2022. After taking up his post, he said the force developed a strategic plan focused on 6 pillars surrounding development of people, infrastructure, partnership, operations, performance, professionalism, and accountability. Emanating from the infrastructure aspect of this plan, he said it was recognized that, quote, the police are behaving how they were behaving because the stations weren't conducive for them to optimize their full potential, end of quote. As such, the force embarked on constructing new police stations across the country, which meets the minimum standards from international best practices. Quote again, he says here, what is not completed yet, it is an advanced stage of completion, end of quote, he said. The new facilities have also improved the relationship with the public, he said. This is complemented by the expansion of the Ghana Police Force's Community Relations Department. The commissioner encouraged citizens to file complaints with the regional commanders, the Office of Professional Responsibility, the Police Complaints Authority, or himself, if they are not receiving the required services from the police station. There's a mouthful, but the amount of stupidness this man said in this one little piece here. First of all, the commissioner was the meaning of the word decentralizing, that they're decentralizing services such as passport, certificate of fitness to motor vehicles, gun license, and police clearance. Now, let me say this. I've said it before. I know since I was in the force, the passport aspect of the passport service was decentralized. Long. I remember Lenora. They used to, when I was there, Lenora, Purika, and I was there since in the 90s, Since in the 90s, I was commander of Region 3. That was Region 3 now, the division then. Passport services. People and Regina, when I was Commander Bobby, same thing at New Amsterdam, at Springlands Passport Service to go there to hand out, to deliver passports and all of that. Lethem, Linden, all of those places. So I don't know what this man is talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. And then he talked about certificate of fitness to motor vehicles, decentralizing that. That was always decentralized. Always decentralized. And anybody who get a motor vehicle know that you go, even in Georgetown, you used to go to Brickdam, you used to go to Easter Penitence. On the East Coast, Cove and John. I think Fort Wellington, West Coast, Bobbies, New Amsterdam, Wim, Springlands, and other places, Bartic, all of those places, let them. We had certifying officers doing fitnesses. But this man now telling me that decentralizing motor vehicle fitness, who we really talking to? Apparently does not know the meaning of the word decentralizing. Gun license, decentralizing gun license. It has always been decentralized, the process of investigating and all of that. Always. When an application is made, it is sent to the divisions. And when the approval finally comes, the approval goes back to the divisions. So I don't know what he is talking about here, gun license. And then he talk about ammunition. We are not on decentralized ammunition because even back in the day, we had a system where aspects were decentralized. I remember New Amsterdam. You had one of the licensed firearm dealers had a stock of ammunition there for people to uplift when I don't know what he is talking about. I don't know if he knows what he is talking about. I really don't know. But he's talking big on this program about decentralizing. And all of the services that he talk about decentralizing, well, I show about police clearance. So how do you decentralize police clearance? How do you do that? And you see, this is the thing. With this propaganda, they're telling you these things and nobody seeks to find out what is the mechanism. How do you do that? If you're saying going to decentralize gun license and police clearances, tell us how it is done. Tell us how it is operationalized. Don't come with these foolish brainwave statements. How do you operationalize this? Fitness of motor vehicles have always been decentralized. Passport for the longest while. And I make the point again, one of the things, say what you want about the coalition government under David Granger, President David Granger. He introduced the Ministry of Citizenship. And former Commissioner of Police, retired Commissioner of Police, Winston Felix, was in charge of that ministry. And they streamlined the passport and immigration arrangement so well that you could have gotten a passport within 1 day. You made an application in the morning, and you could get it the afternoon. You paid what they call expedited processing fee, and you got it the same day. And for the regular persons who could not pay an expedited processing fee, 1 week guaranteed. You apply Monday, by next Monday, you get your passport. So I don't know. And it's when this government came back into power in 2020, they did all sorts of craziness, and then you start getting big lines and so on again. They created the environment for corruption. Somebody tell me vehicle fees is done in my code. Yeah, many places. So I don't know what we're talking about. They created, I'm not saying that the immigration people are corrupt. Let me understand this thing clearly. But I'm saying that when you put a system in place where people got to go there at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and line up, the environment is there. The environment is created for people to get corrupt, not necessarily immigration people. Government ministers get involved. People go to government minister and people with influence or we want a passport, intervene. You got to send note. You got all of those things were done away with. I told a story, I'm going to repeat it again, of a friend of mine who called me. He wanted a passport urgently, and he wanted to see if I could talk to anybody for him. I said, well, there's no need for that. He said, what do you mean? I said, go to the passport office and tell them you want an expedited passport. It will cost you, I think it was $20,000 more. You can afford it, a businessman. He said, yeah. I said, go there and tell them that. He went there. The man called me back the afternoon. He said, Paul, I was shocked. I went there. I told him I wanted an expedited passport. I paid the money. I gave me a receipt. And I went back the afternoon and I collected my passport. Thank you very much. That is what he told me. The thing was so streamlined. So I don't know what Ikin and them talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. Then he says that if you go to a division or a station, you get a problem. What he said, you go to make complaints to the regional commanders, Office of Professional Responsibility, Police Complaints Authority, or to him himself. Now, why you are admitting, perhaps you know that if people got to go to all of these places to make complaints, you are admitting that the system is failing. These things are to be done, most of these things, at the station level. A station get sergeant, inspector, even some of them get officers. At the subdivision level, these things have to be dealt with. But you want them to come to you. So why you want them to come to you? Is it that you want them to introduce Jackie Opel to you? Is it that you want them to introduce Jackie Opel? You have got to, if there is such a problem, then you have to recognize that the system is not working at the bottom. Nobody should have to come to the commissioner to make complaints about issues. None. Even if they jump the divisional commander, you have to have a mechanism where at the commander level, I used to always tell them, as a police commander, let me understand this. As a police commander, when a complaint reached my level, I did everything to have it resolved. Everything. Sometimes the people would have jumped some thing that comes straight to the commander. Because there's a culture of some people. They come to the big one, come to the commander. Once they came to the commander, my story is, I have got to resolve this problem. I don't want nobody left to go to headquarters and all of these places. If I recognize, in some cases, indeed, the people at the lower level fail, you give directions. And the people are satisfied that you intervene and you think. But if they come to the commander, and then the commander can't deal with the matter, it's a failure on the part of the commander, they can go elsewhere. Let me admit that they might have some unreasonable people. And regardless how you think, they will go down. That should not be the regular thing. That should be isolated cases. Isolated cases. So the statement that he's making here, sending you to OPR. OPR again. Oh, my Lord. One always the staff of OPR. Everything. That is the default position. Go to OPR. Somebody shoot somebody, go to OPR. Somebody beat up somebody, go to OPR. That is the default position. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. I got a few other things I want to tell you about. See?
I listened to the conference quarter, and it's amazing the amount of nonsense, or as we say, the amount of nonsensical nonsense that he spoke about. Perhaps he trying to, in some cases, reinvent the wheel. Even go back to passport. Linden, I get relatives from Kokwani who call me from time to time, Bobby people that they want to come for passport. I say reach up to Linden and turn back because Linden has the facilities there. Persons in Borby's call me and say they want to come to them. I say go to New Amsterdam. And that was under Felix. I think under Felix, when he was Minister of Citizenship, they opened they built a building there and things are working. And as you mentioned, Paul, the same thing with gun license, the same thing with fitness. And then I listened to him, on another episode, I'm going to go in details. They're talking about this strategic plan that I got. Or put strategic plan in inverted commas. What they did, they cut and paste, plagiarize Capital Simmons had a plan 211, 216. And all they did, Well, they are the priorities, operational priorities, people, partnership, performance, infrastructure, and they are in accountability. But they hear this, their strategic plan. Perhaps maybe only Hicken and maybe a couple other people must know about it. The members of the executive leadership team can't, they're not au fait with it. The divisional commanders are not au fait with it. The subdivision officers are not au fait with it. The station sergeants are not au fait with it. The subordinate officers not au fait with it. The constable is not au fait with it. If you have a strategic plan from constable right up, must be au fait with it, must know it inside out. You must know it. And then the type of partnerships, the people, the partnership, the community policing you're dealing with must know about it. You are the strategic partners. I ain't talking about the financial partners who will give you $8.5 million. The partners, the persons who are partnering with you must know about the strategic plan. 2022 to 2026. I don't know if they have achieved any milestone. Next year going to be the final date for it. I don't know if they achieve any milestone. What they done, they cut and paste Capital Simmons' strategic plan. And I know Capital Simmons' strategic plan. I have a copy because when they came to Guyana, I work along with them. They pull me in, and I worked with them. And when they finish the plan, they give me a copy of it. So all the years they talk about strategic plan and strategic plan and strategic plan. Even the Ministry of Affairs and get no strategic plan to give directions to the police force. And there are some risk analysis that Capital Simmons talk about. And here let me quickly run through some of them. There will be a lack of suitable equipment for Office of the Ghana Police Force to meet the new and emerging challenges. Example, increase manpower, air capacity, improve vehicles. Two, the Ministry of Affairs doesn't have a strategic plan to give overall guidance to the Ghana Police Force. Three, managers of GPF will not be equipped to deal with new and emerging challenges arising from modernization. Four, there will be insufficient succession planning to ensure that skilled resources are in place to deal with the plan. Five, staff may be resistant to change so that activities outlined in the plan may not be achieved or will have to be delayed. Six, allege, and this one is very pronounced, allege and perceive corruption within the Ghana Police Force will adversely affect the public trust and confidence in the Ghana Police Force. Let me read again. Allege and perceive corruption within the GPF will adversely affect public trust and confidence in the police. 7. Insufficient human resource will be made available to the police to implement the plan. 8. An increase in the economy of Guyana may increase the demands of the GPF, which cannot be managed with existing resource. And this one, 9. There may be implication of the nature and type of criminality in Guyana. And here it is. As a result of the increase in the population, and this one is important, and or the influx of non-national Guyana, of non-nationals. So they hustle with a plan, they say, they cut and paste, but they didn't look at the risk factors. So the plan going to finish next year, and they have not achieved a single milestone. I'm going to talk more about it in another episode. But that's what I want to say in terms of the strategic plan that they talk about, operational priorities, people, partnership, performance, and what 3 P's, people, partnership, performance, infrastructure, and accountability. Not zero.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. As I said, as CC said, the plan is there for long. If you are going to, because we don't expect you to reinvent the wheel, it's there, right? You make your modifications and adaptations and so on. But put this thing out, let this thing roll out in a proper organized and structured manner. You got a strategic plan and people don't know what it is. Every now and again, we talk about the police strategic plan. And people in the force and know about it. Stakeholders and know about it. What nonsense is that? What nonsense? Now there's another matter talking about incompetence and corruption in the police force. I got to highlight it now. I made the point here before. You got a PPP activist in Linden, Kevin Lorimer, sentenced to 9 months in prison by the magistrate in that area for fraud. He used to collect people money, at least one case. He collecting people money to get them outslap or to arrange them to get outlat, convert the money to his own use. He was charged, convicted, because I understand he wasn't appearing in court. Matter was tried ex parte behind the back. He was convicted, sentenced to 9 months imprisonment since around the 9th of June last year. Last month, 9th of June this year, sorry. 9th of June this year. The man has not been arrested as yet. Kevin Larimer, PPP activist in Linden, not been arrested. Police, I understand, of the CW, because this is a commitment warrant, not the stupidness for the police corporate communication that there was sentencing warrant. There's no such thing as a sentencing warrant. It is known as a CW, as we would say, police. Commitment warrant. A warrant where the magistrate commits you to prison. You haven't been sentenced. And in this warrant, he's committed to Lusignan prison for 9 months. They have not executed the warrant yet. And this man on PPP platform campaigning heavily. PPP campaign, and I know that he wanted. And they have instructed, my information is they have instructed the police in Linden to stand down, not to execute the commitment warrant. You talk about corruption. You talk about corruption. The magistrate sentenced this man to 9 months in prison for fraud, right? For fraud. The man in hiding. Police know where he's there. Police have been instructed not to arrest him. And what's going to happen? Because I understand they get the guy for Houdini. You know, Houdini, the same man who make the cocaine turn flower from in police headquarters. He had a guy for Houdini. For do all sort of magic in the courts, forget this thing overturned. All sort of magic they are going to do. So watch out. We are going to monitor it and we're going to bring it to your attention. Because, oh, is it a man sentenced to imprisonment by the magistrate? They haven't appealed or anything like that. The police are instructed not to execute the warrant. Police are instructed not to execute the warrant. And the police apparently, they don't know what to do. They don't know. You got a story, I ain't got time to tell you all now, but when I give them type of instruction, well, Gail Teixeira was Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. I received as commander instructions in relation to a young Indian girl who was sent to anonyming at the place there. And then they want she got there. And then they're telling me not to obey the order from the court. They're telling me. I'm going to tell you all, remind me, I'm going to tell you all the story the next day. I ain't got time now to deal with that. So you have that. Police, imagine, police have been instructed not to execute that commitment warrant. They have been instructed not to execute the commitment warrant. And I understand that they are doing magic. They have brought in these magic men to try to get that decision overturned. They're trying to get the decision overturned. No, nothing wrong with overturning the decision. Well, execute the damn warrant. Execute the warrant. No, and you talking about, you can drum them talk about professional policing and all that type of crap. What they know about policing, right? And I understand that the magistrate now is in jeopardy. The magistrate who sentenced Kevin Larimer to 9 months in prison, this PPP activist, right? You're going to hear just now the magistrate get transferred or something like that. Watch, you're going to hear. That is how they talk about justice. I got the next one we'll talk about. We ain't got time today. But Jack, you're talking about separation of powers. We're going to deal with that perhaps when we meet again on the next occasion. We're going to deal with that. I want to Remind you before bringing Mr. Conway for his closing, we might have forgotten, right? Damian McLennan, that cadet officer who they charged for some cockamania offense in relation to Quindan Bacchus murder. He was charged on the 5th of July, 2022. 3 years done gone. 5th of July, 2022. They extended squatter. Dismiss him the same day. So there was no presumption of innocence. He's dismissed the same day. 3 years and counting. 3 years and counting. And that young man can't get justice here. 3 years and counting. Can't get justice. And you're talking about Guyana, and they talk about transparency. They're talking about human rights. They're talking about rule of law. And they talk 3 years for a summary charge. The man made 30-something appearances so far. Can't finish. Justice delayed is justice denied. Let me bring CC in for his closing, and then I'm going to tell you what happens down the road. Yeah, CC, your closing remarks.
Okay, I'm still concerned with Region 3, West Demerara. I wonder what's happening to the policeman, the police corporal from Faith Harmony, who got shot in his stomach at his home under some strange circumstances. We didn't hear a word about it. We didn't hear a word about the police, the accident, fatal accident, the police driving, chasing down a man, the man hit down somebody, the person died. We didn't hear anything about the policeman, the man who died in the lockups. And a whole set of things happening at West Demerara that we're not hearing. And the commander is very silent. He came from the special branch and he had sworn to secrecy. Perhaps he's still sworn to secrecy. If you want the public to assess you, come to the public, let the public know what's going on. And then if I jump to Region 8, the ranks at Orange Oak, K2, Monkey Mountain, people at Paramalakai still looking forward to see the commander and the deputy commander for that region. And the people and the ranks are also saying that they understand that they collected money on several occasions to visit those locations, and they utilize the money, and they're not seeing the commander nor the deputy.
All right, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Now, I got to play this tape, I got to play this tape, so y'all sit back and listen.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corruption people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter. It's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society. We all lose when corruption is rampant. Those who participate in corruption have chosen evil over good, lies over truth, and personal gain over well-being of all. To be corrupt means to be rotten. When meat is corrupt, it's rotten, and it stinks. Rotten meat can't be eaten. When a person is corrupt, he's rotten and unfit for a place in the community. A corrupt person should be jailed in order to protect society from the vile deeds of the corrupt person. Government should be protecting us from the foul results of corruption instead of being the proponents and participants in corruption. When corruption is systemic, when it's a culture and a way of life, when corruption thrives, it destroys the health of the community and nation. Now let me tell you something. Defeating corruption is a very difficult thing. The love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible says. People who love money will do almost anything to get it. Those who choose to stand up against corruption, you need to know that we're going to be involved in a war. We will be threatened, vilified, intimidated, marginalized, and ridiculed. These kind of people who stand up against corruption will often feel alone, as if they are the problem instead of the solution. Corruption can only be defeated when enough people have had enough and decide to do something about it.
Corruption, and I think we can relate to that. Corruption. And don't forget, look part of the corruption, you look.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours. And don't forget, I tell you how, when September 1st comes, Adriana Young is on the ballot. Adriana Young is on the ballot. She ain't get justice yet. She gonna get justice then. That's how I'm thinking. I will endeavor for her to get justice. And I'm encouraging all of you right-thinking people, when you go to that, even now, every day, you must keep thinking about this little girl that was murdered. And this corrupt government, corrupt police force, cover it up. Commander sent on administrative leave. Up to now, we're really going on with it. Mandal. Right? What happened to him? The man will come with the story that she got in some car, try to mislead people. I've taken a vote on September 1st for Adriana. When I put my X very carefully, I'm going to be thinking about this little innocent girl that was killed at the Doubleday Hotel on the 23rd, between 23rd and 24th of May this year. Right? Folks, we've had a long morning into afternoon. I say to you, happy CARICOM Day. Relax, enjoy it. I say to you too, this place called Guyana is a dangerous place. Accidents on the roads, murder. There's another murder we ain't get to go into the one at Rob and Albert Street. We're going to talk about it when we come next. God's Spray Life. We're coming on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about it. And there are other things to talk about. So, got to be extremely, extremely safe. Be extremely safe. I am saying you will get an opportunity. All of us will get an opportunity to make a change. All of us will get an opportunity to contribute towards making a change. And I am missing that. I will contribute. I am going to contribute. Lastly, those of you who are inclined or in a position to make a little contribution, the numbers are there: Zelle, Cash App, MMG. Right? When you contribute, you're contributing to keeping this program on the air and supporting us with all the stuff that we have to do to keep it on the air. So, folks, again, until we meet, God's Spray Life, Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Stay safe. Stay safe. Until then, bye.